Hello, and welcome to the Let's Get Down to Business with iCEV session. My name is Lisa Barnett, and I serve as a territory manager for iCEV. I'm located on the East Coast, and I cover Maryland, North Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. During this session, I'll be showing you around the iCEV platform and provide you with a preview of the online offerings for business, marketing, finance, IT, and media curriculum. You will get to see how to operate the platform and the components of an iCEV lesson. I'll give you a few tips along the way. Without further ado, I'll share my screen. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to click Start Setting Up Your Courses. And using my schedule, I'm going to go ahead and set up a course. I teach first block graphic design. That's my first assignment. And you'll notice that on our site, we provide you with, I'm going to try to zoom in right here so you can see, we provide you with 3 types of playlists. We have course playlist, subject area playlist, and certification playlist. I want to kind of differentiate between these. The certification playlist is what will help provide the materials to get your students ready for any certification that is hosted through our platform. We have another workshop that is just on certifications, several workshops just on certifications. So I encourage you to go to one of those workshops or attend one of those workshops, because we're not really going to be talking about that at length today. But I did want to show you that you do have multiple tabs from which to choose. The subject area playlist tab is typically contents that will show you or show your students about a specific topic. So we've got one called cybersecurity, and it has a few lessons in it that will teach your students about cybersecurity. Eventually that will be moved over to the course playlist. But for right now, we have a few lessons available for you. We also have some lessons on financial math and, of course, the office content. But under the course playlist, these are playlists that are specific to different courses that are offered oftentimes through business and marketing subject areas. So as you can see, we have a great deal that are offered through that. You can see there's a ton of different playlists, varying subjects, but I teach a course called graphic design. So like I said, I've titled it First Block Graphic Design because that's what my division calls it. That's what the student schedules are. But to choose a playlist that will support me, I saw that they have this one called Graphic Design and Illustration. So I'm going to click on that to choose it. Then it turns green, and then I'm going to go up and I'm going to click Add Course, and you'll notice it places it up here under Courses Added. But I also teach second block Personal Finance. And I saw a course playlist down here, and I'll zoom back in so you can see. I think it was right here. Yes, Personal Finance. So I'm going to click that playlist, go back up, click Add Course, and Finished. Now, before I click Finished, I just want to point out, I do teach this second block, Personal Finance. I also teach that class during fourth block. But for our illustration today, I'm going to go ahead and just click Finished. The reason why is because I have the ability to copy this course for my fourth block students, but for right now, I'm just going to leave it like that because I'm not sure that I have it exactly set up the way that I want it to be set up. So what I'd like to illustrate additionally is after I've got my classes set up, I want to know exactly what is included in these playlists that have been set up already, because I don't know if it's going to cover everything that I need it to cover for my state's expectations, you know, my competencies or my standards that are set forth for me as the teacher. So I'm going to open up this course either by clicking on the name of it or clicking on View. Either one will show you what content is provided. So as you can see, I'll kind of zoom in just a little bit so you can see some of our lessons. The content team or the writers put all of these lessons inside of this playlist that you can, check out. So I want to look at this, and I have decided that it would be good for me to cover basic, graphic design and layout. I think that would be a good one for me to show you all, excuse me, show you all as far as what the content that's provided. So I'm going to click view and open up that lesson. And I'm going to zoom way out for just a second because I'd like to show you kind of what all of our lessons look like once you open them. So at the very top, you can see it has the title of the lesson, and then there's a button that says view lesson plan. And we're going to look at that in just a moment. But then in the middle here, you see that we're going to provide you with either a video or a PowerPoint. So we always give you the lesson, the multimedia for you to use to cover that particular topic. In this circumstance, I have a video that's available. Also, underneath that, we have two different menus, one that's called instructional materials and one that's called interactive assignments. So within those two menus, you can see, and let me zoom back in so you can check it out with me. We always give you either the video or the PowerPoint downloadable version of it, or the academic grading rubric, or the video transcript, the action plan. A lot of times the teachers like to see the action plan, and they'll provide that to students. But we also give you multiple versions of activities. So we've got activities you can use. We've got projects that you could use with students. We give you the PDF form of the student notes. We give you the teacher notes, which has all the answers filled in. We give you a handout for vocabulary. And then we also give you a worksheet that you could use with students as they're taking notes, but we also give you the worksheet key, so you'll know those answers. But we also provide you with PDF versions of the assessments. Notice there's 2 assessments before the final assessment. And oftentimes what those are, or we like to reference them as the check for understanding. Because as you're moving along in the content, you like to be able to check for students' understanding prior to moving on in the lesson concepts. So those are given to you. But for all of the items that are under this instructional materials menu, those are in PDF version or PowerPoint. You can download the PowerPoint or the video transcript. So you can download all of these items and either share them with students through your LMS, or they're there for your reference as you're teaching the lessons. So I did want to point that out under the instructional materials menu. But here's the thing that I always like to point out is, even though we've given you all of those items, you're saying, okay, how do I use these? Well, that's where I'd like to take you to the lesson plan. Remember earlier, as we were looking at the big picture of the lesson, I showed you that there's a button that says view lesson plan. Now, when I click on that, it's going to open it up into a new window. The lesson plan, I'm going to zoom way out so you can see this, it's usually pretty lengthy. And that's a good thing, even though you're might be overwhelmed at first when you're looking at it. Let's zoom back in so we can show you that it tells you that this is the media we've provided you is a hybrid of video segment and a PowerPoint presentation. And it tells you that it's 8 minutes and 39 slides for the PowerPoint. It tells you the goal, the description, the objectives, how it's mapped to the Common Core. If your state is a Common Core state, it shows you how it's mapped or how it supports the Common Core standards. But then after that, we have the lesson plan. And in the lesson plan, I always like to tell teachers, our content or our writers know that every teacher is different. They want to cover the concept different everybody has a choice on how they cover the concept. So at first, we show you how you could use the media that we have provided you. So it breaks it down into class periods, and it says, okay, in class number 1, go ahead and show the full video. Let me zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. The video is 8 minutes. They say to go ahead and show that. Then on class 2, they want you to show slides 1 through 7. And they tell you what to give to students. They say, give the vocabulary handout, or they're telling you to go ahead and show slides 1 of 17. And they tell you to give them the find the grid activity. So whatever you see on the lesson plan refers you to, now notice I'm going to go back to that initial tab that was open. It will refer you to something that's under one of these menus. So if my lesson plan tells me to assign the find the grid activity, then that's going to be available somewhere under the instructional materials. So I can open that. Notice it opens it up in a new tab, and it tells the students the directions. And typically there's, those are the directions that you would provide to students. So you would always use your lesson plan to know what is available for you as the teacher. So what I'd like you to do, like I tell my teachers, is that I like for teachers to go through and check out those individual activities. Maybe you would prefer to do an activity over using the media. Or maybe your students decided they like the video segment, but then you want to give them an activity before you do the PowerPoint segment. So that lesson plan really shows you everything that's available through the lesson. And it might take you a little while, just to check out all the content that's available, because our content writers did an amazing job providing you with plenty of choices on how you cover this particular topic, graphic design basics, layout, and composition. There's a section called lesson links. Those are URLs you could have your students go to. We always refer it back to your career and technical student organizations. We always provide you with a career connection. I really like that because let me show you that just real quickly. Someone in the field that can talk about that particular field. And we always provide those right here under where it says there's your media, the graphic design, that hybrid media. But we also give you virtual guest speakers. So we've got a career interview with Amy Gardner. We have all these other videos that are available for your students. And it's like having virtual guest speakers come into your classroom. So the lesson plan tells you how to use those virtual guest speakers to, broaden your students' understanding. But then again, the lesson plan talks about the lab activities and the projects and how you can use those to cover this content. So again, this has not only the video that the lesson plan refers to, it has the PowerPoint that you could use if you decide that's how you want your students to learn this content. And then we also provide you with plenty of career interviews that you could assign. So the lesson plan gives you a snapshot of everything that's available to you. So I do encourage you to always check out the lesson plan to see all that's available to you. I do want to show you the interactive assignments, that menu. If you open that up, interactive is exactly what it means. It's a way for your students to get involved in the lesson. I really like that we provide students with a way to get involved with the lesson, because I feel like if you don't have students engaged or having some type of input into their lesson, you're going to lose them. They're going to get distracted by something else. So it's important that you provide them with a way to be engaged with the content. So you'll notice we have 3 different exercises in this particular lesson. So we've got the student notes, and I'm just going to click on those. It just changes the screen just a little bit. And it will allow them, as you're covering the video, they're going to take notes while the video is playing. You know, and they'll fill that in. What's so cool about this, though, is that while they're doing this, the video is playing, they're engaged in that video, knowing that they need to keep up. It automatically saves their progress to the cloud, but I always like to have my students click Save Progress just in case. But they're going to be participating in that lesson. And then when they're done with that, those student notes, they're going to submit it, and it immediately grades it for them. So immediately the teacher can have conversation about the results of their submission and talk about any that they got wrong while they were working. So I think that iCEV, the student seats, are so important for the students to have ownership of their learning. They immediately see a correlation between paying attention in class lends to better grades, and they have stock in their learning. And I really like that the student seats can bring that level of learning to the classroom. I also wanted to point out, you know, in like personal finance, for example, we've got, you know, several lessons available to you here, but we've got a way for the students to, you know, maybe if they're absent, they can go in and catch up with their learning and participate in the learning self-paced if they're trying to catch up on something. So I did want to point that out additionally while we're looking at this personal finance course. So I'm going to take you back to my courses and kind of zoom back out again and just kind of reiterate that before I leave you today, I wanted to show you again that with the business, marketing, finance, media, and IT site, you get access to a bunch of content, a lot of different playlists. In addition to these course playlists, you have the ability to differentiate. Maybe you do have some students who are gifted and they work ahead of others. Maybe you do want them to have access to our certification playlist. Our certifications are great content for furthering or enhancing the learning of students. So it's important that you take advantage of all that is available through all of our sites. Have this much content. I mean, it's amazing all that is provided to you. This concludes my session. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about iCEV, feel free to contact me through the networking feature on the platform, or you can email me at lisa.barnett@cevmultimedia.com. To learn more about iCEV and request more information, visit the resources tab on the left. I hope you'll join us for the Q&A right after this. By attending this session, you will automatically receive points for it. At the end of the conference, you'll be able to download your PD certificate from the platform.